And then I started thinking, you know what? If I can rewrite the past, that was one quantum reality, perhaps, but I can choose another. I can choose another quantum reality right now of the past. So that's what I did. I really just released it. And I guess I was just ready to because I know it's easy to say, oh, I just let go. But I'd spent a long time, praying to be able to let go. But this really gave me the open door to do that.
Welcome to Conversation for the Soul. I'm Linda Christine. Today I talk with Jeanie Piper, and Jeanie is an amazing woman who has been on quite the incredible journey. She lost a baby when she was in her 20s. She was estranged from her son for 4 years, and guess what? Manifested a new timeline, and now they're back together. And she went through a divorce after 30 years. Why? Because she stepped into her power. This woman is the definition of grace and beauty and peacefulness. I believe you're going to feel all those things from her when you listen to this conversation. And don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe. This is how beautiful stories like Jeannie's get out there for other people to learn from. And that is so very important right now. And let me know what you think in the comments about my conversation with Jeanie. And here we go. Welcome, Jeanie. It's so great to have you on here. I know we tried this a couple times and now it's finally happening.
No, I'm so happy to be with you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, your space is beautiful. I always like to start by asking people how did you begin embarking on this spiritual journey, this awakening journey of yours? What were the catalysts that kind of got you going this direction?
Mm, yes, well, I was really raised in a metaphysical type religious religious tradition, and so I've always been on that path of a metaphysician. So, but as I grew, and I kind of grew out of, I kind of got away from the religious tradition of it. And I really probably, I had a young child that passed away. And so that's
Hmm.
months old. And so that really changed the trajectory of my life. From that point on, I was really just a deeply, deeply searching for answers, for healing, for, just really deeply, deeply searching. And so from there, I've just been read all the masters. I've read the ancient scripts, and I've just kind of finally settled into my own way of really thinking and working with my practices, and had a lot of healing and just a lot of just letting go. Just it's been a journey, but I'm at a place right now where I'm just like so grateful for everything that I've gone through, because it's really led me to this place that I'm at.
That's beautiful. Um, what were the circumstances around the loss of your child? When was that? How long ago?
Oh gosh, that was, I was in my early 20s, so it's been, 40 plus years. So yeah, it was kind of a probably would be called a crib death. So but there's just a lot of, there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of, questioning, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of emotions, and just it's just like life shattering. Just
Yeah.
so it really, yeah, there's no way out. I had to just go deeply, deeply in a search for God, for divine wisdom, to understand a little bit about how all the things work. And, that's been just a lifetime of searching.
Was there one thing that stands out that assisted you in making that shift from the tragedy and the grief to beginning to heal?
Yes, I think that I got to a place where I could really see. I was studying some of Carolyn Miss's about the soul contracts, and I was reading a lot about how we make our contracts with our children, and they make contracts with us. And then I talked to many, not, I don't know if they're called psychics, but maybe, those that are in more closer touch with the outer realms. And I really kind of came to a place of peace that he chose that, and his life was completely fulfilled, although it was only 3 months old. He was only 3 months old. I just really got the sense that his life was completely fulfilled because his purpose in life was to direct me to the path of seeking spirit. And that's what he did. He fulfilled that role for me. He was my first wake-up call. So, and then, he's been my guardian angel, throughout life. And I feel very close to him. So there's not really a feeling of loss anymore. I mean, and all the guilt and all that, it really was dissolved through understanding more deeply that sense of soul contracts, that we decided this before he came. His life was fulfilled. And yeah, that was a big part of my healing. And yeah, it still just is a big comfort for me today. So,
What a beautiful place to get to, and logically in my mind, I can go, yeah, if something like that were to happen to me, I'd be like, logically in my mind, yeah, that was a soul contract and this is how it's meant to play out. But still, the human part of it is just, I can't even imagine.
right. It's true. It's true. But, I really came to a place where I just could not go on, because the grief was so horrible. And it came to me is that I have to find a way out of the dark. I mean, I have to find a way. So, um,
How does he make himself known to you now? How does he talk with you or communicate with you?
just, you know, it's just kind of knowing that he's here with me. And I've had little signs here and there, but it's just in my heart, it's just in my heart. So, I mean, I just feel no disconnect from him. I'm none at all. So, yeah, it's just in my heart.
What else has transpired for you on your spiritual journey that was really a lesson that you had to work hard to work through?
Well, I can tell you, um, yeah, my other son, who was just right, he was just like born just really less than a year before when the past was. So, we've had a little bit of it was just kind of, I don't know how to say that. It was just difficult. And so as the years have progressed, there was a time about 4 years ago that we had a falling out, and his wife, at that time he had three children, and they moved away. And anyway, I was totally estranged from them for 4 years and had no contact, and I really didn't know if I would ever see him again. So it was just it's just very difficult because, I felt like I've lost both my sons now. And so it's just another area where I really had to go deep, deep, deep. And how I can kind of share the story of how it unfolded, that you're in this victim mode, that's like, they did this and they need to apologize, and just this whole victim mentality that keeps you stuck. And I was there for a long time. And finally, I just was so longing to repair the rift, but I didn't know how. It was very complicated with other people involved, and I just couldn't see a way to do it. So I just had nothing. I kept going to God. I just kept going to my divine source and asking. And this one day, I went and it was around Easter because I was so missing my little grandkids. And since then, I had a new grandson that I never even met. And I was just so missing them. And I just went outside on the patio and I was just like, tell me what I can do. And I heard that country and western song. It's called Love Will Build a Bridge Between His Heart and Mine. And it was just so clear that I thought, okay, I can trust that divine love is right now building a bridge. And so I was able to really kind of let go of all my striving and efforting to try and make things happen. What should I do? What should I do? And I just got into this deep trust. Okay, love is building a bridge. No matter that the appearances didn't show that, but I knew. So around that time, a couple of weeks later, this video appeared on my feed about rewriting the past. And they said something that was so astounding to me. They were saying that your present circumstances are not the cause of past events. I'm like, I don't get that, because obviously this happened and that's the reason, the present circumstances. But I took a moment, because they said that it's because you keep recreating it in the present moment by remembering what happened. So I was like, okay. I was ready to accept whatever information was coming to me. So I thought, okay. And he also said that there's always a chance that we remembered it wrong. Maybe I remembered it wrong. So I just opened the door for that in my consciousness, is, what, maybe I remembered it wrong. And then I started thinking, what, if I can rewrite the past, that was one quantum reality perhaps, but I can choose another. I can choose another quantum reality right now of the past. So that's what I did. I really just released it. And I guess I was just ready to, because I know it's easy to say, oh, I just let go. But I'd spent a long time, praying to be able to let go. But this really gave me the open door to do that. So I just decided it didn't happen the way that I remembered it. It did not happen the way I remembered it. And the other thing that came to me right at that time, it was so clear that it was from God, that it said that he is an honorable man. And it just hit me in my heart as so true. And I just kept thinking of that over and over, is that he is an honorable man. And, all these verses from the Bible came to me as like, he is the apple of God's eye. He is God's beloved child in whom God is well pleased. And he is, God loves him with an everlasting love. And I thought, if God loves him and sees him that way, then I must do the same. And so my heart just started melting into this infinite love for him and his family and all the children. And I got to the place in my heart where I didn't need it. It didn't even matter about an apology, because I had already kind of rewritten that. So I really didn't need anything from him. I just wanted him to know how much I loved him and how much he was loved. And of course, I didn't have any way to tell him that, but I just started sending him love and sending his whole family love. And so, anyway, this one night, I sat down and I remember it so clearly. I sat down in my chair and I'd read this little verse that said, "Divine love holds man forever in its embrace." And I just thought, oh gosh, they are embraced in this divine love. And I just really sent my heart and my thoughts and just saw this love encircling them and embracing them. And really, it just went out to all humanity. I just felt so good about the whole thing. And, I went to bed. I just slept better than I'd ever slept. I know the next morning I woke up, I just felt so grateful. I just was so full of gratitude. And my son was not even in my thoughts. And anyway, this morning was so special because I went out to the garden and I was just, oh my gosh, I was thanking the trees. I was thanking the sunshine. I was thanking the plants, the birds. I just was so full of gratitude. And so I go back in the house, and about 2 hours later, my phone vibrates. And I look at my phone, and it's my son. And I see his name on my phone, and it's almost like it just did not even, my brain was like short circuiting because I hadn't heard from him from 4 years.
Wow.
And the first little line said good morning. Like it was just like, this is normal. And it said, good morning. I just wanted to invite you to our granddaughter's recital, and that you're welcome to come to any of their events that you want to. We'd love to have you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. So, it was just so incredible. So, of course, I'm like, yes, I will be there. And I ended up going to a soccer game before the recital. And, it was just the most beautiful reunion. There was no talk of the past. It was like we both had really almost shifted timelines because it was just like there's no talk of the past. My granddaughter came up and gave me a big hug, and then he gave me a big hug. Oh my gosh, it's just nothing but love, tears, and just such gratitude. And now he even said the other day, he said, we didn't have to hash out the past because this is a brand new thing. And I was just like, that's so true. And now my granddaughters come over. They just, we have cookouts. They come over to swim. They go, I'm taking them to horse camp. My life has completely and totally changed. And, all the difficulties of, because whatever in the past, it's just gone. And so that has just taught me so much about the power of really divine love.
Love and gratitude are it's powerful medicine.
So
and
true.
that catalyst that got you to shift timelines, because it really is kind of what I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I'll post it below for everybody to find. It's from a YouTube podcast, Be Something Wonderful. And he is talking about rewriting the past and shifting timelines. So that's pretty incredible. And you know what? If Jeanie can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a journey, but I feel like, getting out of that victim mode is so important. And then, I love what Paul Selig says, where, if you hold your brother in darkness, you can't be the light and hold your brother in darkness. What you put in the darkness calls you to that darkness. And, when I was thinking that he had done something wrong and blah, 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 that's really putting him in darkness, and there's no healing there, there's just no healing. So for me, that was a big step to really get out of the victim mode and then open the heart to what the divine source is really communicating.
Yeah, wow. That's just such an incredible story, Jeanie, and it's worth its weight in gold for sure.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's what I tell them. I say, look, our relationship is pure gold to me.
Mm,
So it's
that's beautiful.
wonderful. So yeah.
So those are two pretty big pivotal things for you to deal with. What else is there? Because you have a very gentle and peaceful and loving demeanor about you. So I can tell you're somebody that has done some very deep shadow work.
Yeah. I mean, oh boy. I was married for 35 years, and that was, that's going to show you where I had a lot of codependency issues. And, I tell you, another big thing that happened to me is I was under so much stress. This has been about 4 or 5 years ago that, with my marriage and, oh gosh, family, I was really kind of fitting into the mold that everybody wanted me to fit into. I didn't really realize I was doing that, but I later learned that I was. And I really had to face up to that. And when I did, I kind of lost my really a big chunk of my family. And, you know, there was nothing I just couldn't compromise my integrity and who I really was anymore. But I realized that I had been doing that so for a big part of my life. And so one of the things, the big catalyst that happened is my heart went way out of rhythm. I had to go to the hospital. I had to spend 3 days in ICU. And that was all due to stress. And so ever since then, I have taken very, very good care of my heart. I do, I do breath work, I do Qigong, I do meditation, and all that to say that, these, really stress is like when you're being somebody, you're not. That is one of the biggest stressors. And although it was very stressful to lose a big part of my family, my extended family, um, I had to learn how to just be and honor myself and my own integrity. And that's where a lot of my spiritual practices really deepened because, it's kind of scary to say the least. But I wouldn't allow myself any choices after that because I just, I couldn't put myself in a really stressful thing. So I just developed these really amazing practices of, like I said, Chinese medicine, breath work, meditation, and that all of that helps me to just stay centered when these other things come up. It's really taught me how to hold space for myself and hold space for other people. And, losing really my son for so long, it's also taught me to just to value relationships so deeply that, I tell him, I say, I want to be transparent. I want to be honest. I want to talk about things if things come up. And I think that's hard. It was hard for me without having that foundation of a spiritual practice and an open heart to allow people to, express themselves. And then also really have to look at myself and where I always have to, look at myself and my intentions. And that's that shadow work, it's like, what are my true intentions here? I have to always be careful about those codependency traits.
Wow, you are so brave. I mean, that's I think if not the biggest, one of the biggest hurdles when you're going through your so-called awakening or your spiritual journey, to realize you're not being true to yourself, and then start being true to yourself, and then be steadfast in that and do not waver, because people do start going away when you're somebody that they're not used to.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. It's like, no, that was not who, they didn't know how to embrace who I really was because I had to fit in that mold.
Yeah. Codependent mom and codependent wife was probably a lot easier to manage than a strong and powerful one.
Isn't that the truth? That is so true.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's opening a door to someone and people and friendships who that value that, and look how your son came back. You
Right.
know,
Right.
he needed some time to heal and do some shadow
Right.
work and lick his wounds and figure things out. So that's
Exactly.
incredible story.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been fun to, visit a little bit about the things that he had to look at too. But, he said that morning that he contacted me, he said that he thought about contacting me for many times, but that morning something came over him and he said, I'm doing it today.
He shifted timelines.
I know. It was just so cool because I'm telling you, I just my thing is like that is the power of love. It's like when I was in that stage of needing him to apologize, it's just like putting a big block up. So, not that that's right for everyone, but for me, where I was in my journey, that was the one thing I had to let go of. And then I don't know, it's just the power of love that was able to reach his heart and him mine. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what we think and what we say, we attract, So if you're in this place of I need an apology, he's wrong, or holding anger, then yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Hmm. Wow. So let's go back a minute to your upbringing, because that sounds fascinating. So many people in this community are maybe recovering Catholics, or they were brought up Lutheran, or many other things. I've never heard of somebody being brought up metaphysical. How was that? What was that like? What is that?
Well, it was always that your thoughts affect your reality
Mm,
from the
there you go.
get-go. So, I mean, that was always that was just the norm, and it's not easy because, the whole world is out there. But, some of the rules of metaphysics, the way I like to kind of explain it is like when you're in an airplane and you're flying through the clouds, your senses really cannot even tell you which way's up and which way's down. And your feelings can even tell you that you're going straight when actually you're pointing straight down. So you can't rely on your physical senses. And really in this matrix type situation we're in, we can't rely on what our physical senses tell us. So the first rule in metaphysics is we really have to disregard appearances. And the way I look at it is when you're in the airplane, the only way to know how to navigate is you have to keep your eyes on the instruments, because they're telling you exactly how to navigate through the mist, through the clouds that we get into, because of turbulence. And there's just no way for our senses to be able to direct us. So those instruments in my tradition were that, there's only one power, that we are all the image and likeness of God. And that is kind of the foundation. Those are the instruments that, because it just seems like, yes, there's two powers. Yes, there's good and evil. So that was kind of my metaphysical, the laws of metaphysics, is you really have to go deeply into the divine laws. And there's a lot out there, but for me it was that there's only one power, and that in itself is just such a amazing, like, foundational place to start with. And then
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, and then that you are the expression of that. You are the divine image and likeness. You're already whole. You're already perfect. And we're just coming to see that. So,
And your parents brought you up this way.
yes. Yes.
Wow, how progressive. I mean, wow. So this was back in what, like the 60s?
Yeah, the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was,
And were you in the Bible Belt where you are now?
yes, yes.
Wow.
Oh, it's very based on the Bible. And that's why, the Bible to me has become more like a set of cosmic laws than, I don't know. I think the veils of religion kind of obscure their true,
Yep.
practical metaphysical laws that are in the Bible. Is really amazing, really amazing. So that's been a fun journey for me to kind of peel back those layers of religiosity and really find within the Bible and these other teachings really the cosmic laws that are here to help us.
That's amazing. And so you said you do breath work, you do Qigong. Tell me a little bit about Qigong. I know you really love that.
Really, I mean, Qigong is, obviously Qi is energy, and Gong just means learning how to work with energy. And so really it's a moving meditation instead of sitting and meditating. And, a lot of times it's hard to think your way out of stress or to think your way out of racing thoughts. So when I get that way, I do the Qigong practices, which are really like deep breathing. They're, you're moving your hands, your arms, your legs, you're moving energy through all your meridians and through your system. You're deep, really deep breathing. And before you know it, really, those thoughts have calmed down. And I can attest that it is really hard to just sit and think my way out of racing or really stressful thoughts. But yeah, that's really helped me. And I would really just say it's really a moving, meditative breathwork practice.
I love it. We had a conversation one day and I was saying how I liked it, but I felt like I was learning dance moves at the class that I went to. And you were saying how you are intuitive in yours. Can you explain that? Because it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, even one of the most basic things that I'm always doing is that you hold emotional energy right here in your heart center, up and down your sternum. So, one of the most simplest things you can do if you're feeling stressed or you just feel like you have all this emotion is to just tap up and down your sternum. And it's called Qi massage. So, you just tap up and down your sternum, take some deep breaths, and that in itself is helping to release the emotional energy. So I'm always doing that. If I get stressed, I'm just like doing this, take a few deep breaths, and it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's just basically you learn these movements, and it's really a shamanistic practice. So it's all about, sending any energy that you don't want back down to the earth, letting it compost, and then bringing up the new energy. And, it's just a lot of this right here, it calms the mind. You wouldn't believe it, but I didn't believe it for so long. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is not doing anything. But it's really, yeah, it just calms the mind, and just these simple movements, that are so powerful.
Now, are there specific movements that you need to do, or can you just kind of go wherever you feel like your hands or arms or legs want to go?
Sure. I mean, you can do that, but of course, it's an ancient, like Chinese medicine, for 5,000 years old, and all your meridians, points, like the palm of your hand is where your heart meridian, your wrist is your heart meridian. So even just like this is one where you're crossing your heart meridians at your wrist points, and so you're just like shielding yourself from any kind of negative energy. If you're going somewhere, you're just kind of envisioning like a golden shield around you. So you do learn the different points on the body and what they do and how they release. But I don't know, once I learn those, I can just sit and do them whenever I feel like I need to. It's really not complicated.
Okay, you don't get mad at me. Do you want to lead us through one? Is there one we could do sitting, or should we stand up and do it?
No, you can do it sitting. Yeah, I mean, I would just say just a really simple one. I keep going back to if you're having any kind of emotional, if you're just overly emotional, I just would say, if I had anyone I tell people this, if nothing else, just tap very lightly up and down your sternum, and just take a deep breath into your belly. And yeah, because that is releasing the energy. And then it's really, I mean, these are just very simple, but even like this is called pulling down the heavens. So you're waving the energy, and it's all about bringing the energy from the mind down into the heart. And when you do that, you really want to hold the energy in the lower, it's called dantien, but right underneath the belly button. So when you bring your energy, you don't want to store it in your heart. You definitely don't want to store it in your head. You want to store it in your energy center, which is right below your belly button, because your belly button is where all the life came into you, and that's where we store all of that good energy for you to use throughout your day.
So do you teach this?
No.
I see online classes in your future, Jeanie.
I've often thought, gosh, I just wish, people would know just a little bit of this practice. It is so helpful. I've even been
You're
telling
the girl for it. You're the girl.
maybe, who knows? Who knows? I'll open my heart to that.
I could see you out in those beautiful gardens doing that. It would be lovely.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll open my heart to that.
Let's I know you have some. I've seen pictures of these beautiful horses that you have on your property.
Mm-hmm.
I believe horses are very powerful medicine also. Do you have any stories about your horses and their healing abilities that you might be able to share?
Oh, goodness, sure. I have two horses, and I've learned so much about, oh my goodness, their power and abilities to, feel what we're feeling. And of course, they can sense your heartbeat within about 6 feet. So when you just come into the field with them, when you come into their pasture, their field, they already know what state you're in, and they're going to respond according. If you're stressed, they're going to think, okay, well, there's something to be stressed about. So one of the first things that I learned is getting to a place of zero when I go out there, because I'm the herd leader. And if I'm stressed, they're looking to me, and it doesn't matter. They know what my system, even before I do. They can even tell if if your heart is like having an irregular heartbeat. So that's part of my spiritual practice and meditation is to go out there and be with the horses. And not only do they know that, but when you come into their presence and do your deep breathing, they can actually regulate your heart. They can entrain our nervous system to theirs. And of course, they're always they always want to be in a state of zero because they're prey animals, and their whole thing is to conserve energy. So yeah, it's just been so beautiful to have those moments when you really just, when I get into that place of zero, like zero reaction, just calm, and see them start to lower their head and their eyes start closing, and you're just being with them is so healing, and you're in the moment. You cannot be thinking about anything else, because the minute, I am telling you, the second my mind starts going to something in the future or something in the past, they will flick their tail and they're out of there. They know immediately when your mind gets active. So
Wow.
it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I love them.
I saw this beautiful post on social media. This girl, her horse was over on one side of the barn, and she goes, I want to see my reaction if I sit down and cry, what my horse will do. And she sat down probably 30 feet away from the horse and just started, had her head down and was sobbing. And within probably a minute, the horse turns and looks at her and starts walking over her, and he nuzzles her and he tries comforting her. And I'm like, so moved by that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so, oh, the engagement. So beautiful.
I know. And it's so true. It's so beautiful. And you can really, you begin to start hearing them communicate with you too, which is really, really fun and interesting.
Like what? What kind of things do you
For
get?
me, it's just like I was out there one day, and I was trying to, I guess you would call, manage their energy. I was just, my focus was on them, trying to make them calm instead of me. And so I just sat there and I don't know, I guess I just opened my mind for a moment, and I hear, you need to manage your own energy. Don't worry about me. And I'm like, wow.
Horse told you.
Yeah, what a great lesson for me in every situation. When I don't know if any, but having those codependency tendencies, I would be wanting to manage someone else's energy, making sure they're all right. And when I got that lesson from them, I was like, oh, okay, manage my own energy. That's all I have to be concerned about. So that is just like one example of a powerful lesson.
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of people are like, are you okay? Is everything fine? It's like, focus on here, be in your own energy flow and keep that in check, and everything else kind of falls in line after that.
It really does. It really does. Yeah, I agree with you, because, yeah, it's usually when we're out of our body and we're stressed that we're looking to other people. It's like, oh my God, I got to calm them down. But yeah, so that was a really interesting lesson. And, another time they were having their first chiropractic, I don't know, adjustment or whatever. And I was kind of nervous for them. And finally, I just took a big, and my white horse, Gandalf, he was like not having any of it. And finally, I just said, okay, I need to relax. So I just took a big breath, And the minute I took a big breath, he took a big breath and relaxed. So they're just mirrors, they're just mirrors. Just so
Mm.
helpful. It's so helpful to keep bringing it home, keep bringing it back to what we're doing and not projecting out there and trying to fix things. Just keep bringing it home.
That's so beautiful, Jeanie. So what exciting things do you have on the horizon? Anything that you're looking to delve into that's maybe new or anything?
I'm just I'm really it's happy with life right now, but it's kind of exciting. I'm on this actually something just happened with my son again, because if I tell this real quick story, that he got a job where he has to travel in airplanes, obviously, and he's really had so much fear of flying, and he's had nightmares all of his life about plane crashes and all of this stuff. And so I've been reading Neville Goddard. I don't know if you've ever heard of Neville Goddard, but he's a metaphysician back in the, I don't know, maybe 30s or 40s or so. And so I said, okay. And every time he would go on a trip, the flights were delayed, they were canceled, there was so much turbulence. I mean, and he was just a basket case. So this last trip, just last week, I said, okay, I've been reading Neville Goddard. Of course, I know my metaphysics. I said, I am going to use all the powers of my manifestation to make sure you have a good trip. So I wrote out the script, and I imagined that wish fulfilled, that I imagined that he was going to call me and say, oh my gosh, I had the most wonderful trip. And so anyway, I got into that state. And I was just like, that was where I was fixed in consciousness. That was the end result. So anyway, when he got back, I said, okay, well, how was your trip? He said, it's amazing. It was no stress, smooth as can be. But what was really interesting is that he said the night before his plane ride home, he had a dream, another plane crash dream. But this was the very first time in his whole entire life that the plane just kind of skidded off the runway and he was able to walk away. So it just showed me again the power of, because that was like, I mean, that was really big for him, that somehow subconsciously, communicated that he's safer. It really shifted consciousness. So I've just been I'm kind of excited about really understanding and honing this, my metaphysical practice. You can just really practice it and see what happens.
Now, is there anything that you do that you assist people with? Do you have clients?
No, no, not right now.
Not until you start doing your online Qigong videos, and then
Right.
no pressure, of course.
No, I'm just kind of open right now. I just got over the divorce and, moved recently. So I'm just in a place where I'm kind of getting settled, and I'm really open to whatever life has for me. I'm open.
That's exciting. Okay, so a year from now, we're going to see where Jeanie's at and have another conversation. Well, Jeanie, thank you so much. I sure appreciate you coming on here today.
Thank you for having me. And
You are just a wealth of wisdom. Oh my gosh.
oh, thank you so much. It's been fun to share all these stories. My goodness.
They're great teachers. Let me tell you, all of them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.